Okay, everybody, shalom, and welcome to the Yishai Fleisher Show, broadcasting live from Judea to the world. You're a part of it wherever you are. Shalom and welcome. It's late here in Israel. I'm starting my show late today because I was in the army all day today. I have 2 days of anti-terror training this week, and so really, by all rights, as you can see, I'm a little bit sun tanned / burned, and I've been in the sun all day. It's like a zillion million degrees out here. Baruch Hashem, thank you God. But it's very hot, and I was out there in the good land, fighting with fellow soldiers. If you want to get a little kind of feeling of what I was doing today, here's about 20 seconds that'll give you a sense of what anti-terror training looks like for me, anyway. Okay, Okay, so that's just a little tiny taste of what the kind of stuff I do in the army is. And, I was feeling a little bit not 18 years old anymore. And then I looked over and there's this 75-year-old guy, and he's one of the best shots and the best dudes there. Literally, he's 75 years old. He's one of the best dudes. Okay, it happens to be that he works in, physical work every day. So he's still, quite fit. But Baruch Hashem, now, we actually, speaking of age, we had a little race. We blew up, how much was it? I think it was 11 balloons for 2 teams. Both teams had little balloons, and the balloons were blown up like 1.5 breaths into the balloon, and we tacked them up on 2 different kind of boards. And then we lined up, and speaking of ageism, we lined up the above 45 group, which was 6 of us, and the below 45 group, which was 5 or 6 of us. And I was in the above 45, Baruch Hashem. And guess what? We creamed the other guys. That's right. We creamed them. Absolutely. Oh, you have to shoot. Everybody gets 1 bullet. You get like 1 bullet. You got to run up to the gun. You got to load 1 bullet, put it in the mag into the gun, shoot that 1 bullet, hopefully pop a balloon. It doesn't matter if you pop it or not. You have to put down the gun. And then the next guy, there's 2 clips, and he's got to take out 1 clip, put the bullet into 1 clip, put it in, load it, shoot it. And then whoever gets rid of the 11 balloons first. Anyway, we creamed the under 45 group, which was a lot of fun. But what is all that? Is it really about blowing up balloons? Is it about like what age you are? No. It's about the most amazing thing, which is the ability to fight for your homeland, the ability to fight for this special privilege of being able to come back to your land, resurrect your indigenous culture, give rebirth to your language, give rebirth to your ancestral spirituality, and yearn for cleansing this land of evil, bringing a time of peace, showing the sanctity and specialness and centrality of Jerusalem, and being able to pick up a weapon to fight the enemies of Israel. It's an amazing privilege. And that's why the 75-year-old guy and myself are still at it, because we want to be part of it. We don't want to give up that sacred and awesome privilege of being able to fight for your land. And that's why I'm actually broadcasting to you today, even though I'm tired and I should be by all rights going to sleep. So I can wake up tomorrow for a second day of anti-terror training. But I just wanted to share with you that amazing light, that amazing feeling. Whenever I get excited about my own indigeneity, I think about my good friend, who's one of the First Nations peoples in Canada, from the Métis peoples. He's an activist, and he's taught us Jews and Israelis a lot about how to speak about and think about indigeneity and as a value. he's taught me a lot, and there's already a lot of people who are quoting him without always giving him the credit that he deserves, because he's really one of the people that has pushed that consciousness forward. And that's my good friend Ryan Bellarose. Ryan, shalom, and welcome to the program.
Shalom, my friend. How are you doing?
It's so good to have you. It's so good to
Yeah,
have
it's
you
good to
with
be.
us. All
It's
right,
good to be
where am I
here.
catching you right now? Tell me where you're joining me from.
Well, I'm on a Métis settlement, so out of the two of us, I'm the only actual settler here. I live in the far north in Alberta, so just south of the Northwest Territories, right at the edge of the arboreal forest, where it starts to turn into muskeg and then the Arctic. So it's
You're
pretty
close to
far.
you're close to the Arctic, eh? I mean, I've seen shows on the History Channel or Discovery Channel about people like living out in these places.
Yeah, yeah. Those shows like Ice Road Truckers, just north of us is where the ice roads actually begin.
Yeah, oh, so cool. I know that you've invited me out there to your place.
Yeah, I've had a few Israelis come. My one friend actually from the army, he's a good dude, Avi Capone. I think you've met Avi.
I know Avi, he lives in my
Yeah.
town. I
Yeah.
know him.
So
Sure.
Avi and his wife came here, and she got out of the truck, and the first thing she said is, "Why does the air make my face hurt?"
Why
Because
and why is that?
it was minus 38. So yeah, it was an experience for sure.
All right, let's get to it. I want to talk with you about indigeneity, how to think about indigeneity, and then I want to watch with you some of the videos that show really the stuff that's going on out there today, because the issue of Israel is so hot and so much anti-Israel and so
Oh,
much anti-Semitism. It's flooded the world. I don't know why, Ryan, but something happened to me in the last week, just this last week, where like it dawned on me how bad it is out there. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know. A few people sent me some stuff that's happening in Europe and stuff, but I was just like, wow, it's I don't remember in my whole life, in my 30 years of Israel activism, I don't remember it being like this. I don't remember a whole world just ganging up on Israel and like celebrating the worst elements and hating on the Jews, not seeing the rights or the beauty of Israel. So, I
yeah.
guess I guess first let's ask, what is indigeneity? How can Israel learn from what you have learned and what you could teach us? Let's talk about that first.
All right, so well, I'll begin with how I like, just for your audience, how I usually when I explain this to children, right? Because it's a simple, easy way to explain indigenous status. I don't have to go into the Martinez Cobo checklist, with all the big fancy sciencey words. If you just hold your hand up and you think of your identity, your indigenous identity, as fingers on your hand, right? So you have language, land, culture, blood, spirituality. And all of those things have to work together, just like fingers on a hand would work, right? So the issue is that for a lot of indigenous people, because of colonization, we've lost some of those fingers, right? Like there's children that have been disconnected from their families through adoption. There's people that have been removed, people that have been removed from their ancestral land, people that for various reasons either lose their language or it becomes a ceremonial only language and then only certain people have access to it. All of those things would result in the loss of a finger. So what ends up happening is for a lot of indigenous people, they might only have one finger. Maybe they don't even have, the FSU Jews, right? They had the spirituality, the religion aspect was completely removed by the Russians. So you end up with these people that have some of the signifiers but didn't have all of them. But in order to have like a fully functional, authentic indigenous identity, you have to do your best to try and regrow those fingers, right? I know that in the real world, we can't regrow fingers yet. I'm pretty sure the Israelis will have that in a year or two, but I mean, the rest of us can't. So what we try to do is we say that unlike real fingers, you can regrow the fingers of your identity, right? So you had like in Israel, you're a wonderful example of this. Eliezer ben Yehuda basically rejuvenated the language, right? It had become a ceremonial language for the most part. And he rejuvenated it and it turned back into a daily use language. Now that's something that has never been happened. That's never happened before. And a lot of Native American tribes, like the Ohlone, there's a couple other tribes in the United States that lost their language. and they learned lessons from Eliezer ben Yehuda on how to rejuvenate a language, a lost language. And yours wasn't quite lost, but I mean, we can still take those lessons and extrapolate them. So,
right, the language was still used ceremonially, but it wasn't really a spoken language. So this guy in the late 1800s just comes up with a dictionary, and he forces his kids to speak Hebrew, and other people were kind of went into that mindset of like, we're going to give rebirth to this language. One of the people who study indigeneity and nationality, one of the big theories of nationality is the language. And we didn't have a common language. We were speaking the language of other peoples where we were living, where we were partially assimilated into.
yeah.
So the rebirth of the Hebrew language is part of that rebirth of nationhood and return to indigeneity.
100%. And so, like, actually, it's funny you said that, because just recently, a friend of mine on TikTok, his name's Nick Matau, he makes some pretty good content. Nick made a video and he tagged a bunch of indigenous rights activists, and he said, "What's the word that you use for the land that your people are from?" Right? Like in your language, generally, obviously, because indigenous people, we call the land that we're from by whatever it is in our language. We would call, like, I wouldn't call where my people are from by the language that the Canadians use, right? And the funny thing is, the Canadians actually adopted our word for where my people are from, because they were like, you know what? That's a good one, because where I'm from, my people are from Manitoba. But Manitoba in Cree means land of the creator, land of the great spirit, right? And it's interesting because all of these different indigenous creators were saying what we would call our land. And then it was funny. So then one of the, of course, typical, the pro-Pallies have to make everything about them. They said, well, we call our land Palestine. And I was like, you mean from Pleshet, the Plishtim, the invaders from the sea? Like, there's not an indigenous group of people on the planet that would self-identify by a name the colonizers gave them. We just don't do that.
Right.
So it was a very powerful moment, because I think people
not only is it a name that their competitors gave them, it's also derogatory by its very nature.
Well, that's the thing. See, like, Plishtim is a Hebrew word, but Palestine is a Romanized version of a Hebrew word. And it was, so like, if they were to call themselves, the Pleshet, I'd have been like, okay, well, that's a Hebrew word. At least you're kind of being somewhat accurate. But instead, they call themselves Philistine, which comes from Palestine, which comes from the Romans. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me anyway. It's something that's always baffled me.
Well, we all know that Palestinianism is an anti-Israel creation. Part of it is an Arab anti-Israel creation. It was meant to fight Zionism. It was meant to create a professional victimhood class. It was later quite buttressed by the Soviets, who created Yasser Arafat, who created this anti-Jewish machine, which was like Vietnam, like a whole story of victimhood and this other indigenous people. It's a created narrative. We have many Arabs saying that we know that there was no historic Palestine. We know that they have no coinage. We know that they have no cuisine. We know that they have no great heroes or presidents or kings or anything like that. We know that it's a creation that basically was born at the time that Zionism was born. I don't want to say Israel because it was pre-Israel. And we also know that if it wasn't for, actually, very sadly, Herbert Samuel, if he hadn't, the first Jewish procurator, the first Jewish kind of British governor of the land of Israel, if he hadn't put up Haj Amin al-Husseini, if he hadn't helped him out, this whole thing wouldn't have happened. But he supported this guy because he thought that if he could placate him, then maybe the Arabs would be mollified. But he was wrong. He placated the exact wrong side, and it began to create the Palestinian narrative. That's Haj Amin al-Husseini. Later on, he was a proto-Nazi. Later on, he became a full-fledged Nazi, and he was the spiritual godfather of Yasser Arafat. All these enemies of Israel, who, instead of recognizing the return of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, and accepting it even as part of the Quran, uh, thought that they could eliminate Israel and created war against Israel, and they're still at it 100 years later.
You know, it's funny you said that because, like, if you really study the history of Israel, you notice that it's at several key moments, unfortunately, you placated the wrong people, right? Like, it's the same thing with Oslo. Like, on what planet do you decide, you know what we should do? We should bring the PLO back from Tunisia and we should put them in charge. Like, whoever thought that was a good idea, you know, look in the mirror and ask yourself, because I mean, that's what in my opinion, that's one of the things that's led to this forever war, because that's what it's become.
Right. So Oslo is Israel deciding to create a Palestinian authority on our ancestral homeland.
Yeah, in your
Right.
ancestral heartland.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and like for indigenous people, sometimes like when I'm talking to other indigenous people about the history of the Israelis, they actually, the funniest thing someone's ever said to me, they were like, I thought you said your friends are all like geniuses. And I was like, dude, sometimes even the smartest people can do really dumb stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that's one of my slogans, Ryan, is, stop doing stupid things.
Yeah.
And that's really my call to policy for Israel. Just stop doing stupid things. And then don't be upset when somebody else like Macron. Let's watch a little video that I made this week. I made a video which, it's fair to say, went pretty viral, about Emmanuel Macron. I was sitting on the beach, and this is what I had to say. President of France wants to take away our land, Israel's land, and make it into a Palestine. I got an idea for you, Macron. Why don't you take your land and make it into a Palestine? It's already halfway there. Just make it right next to Paris. You already have tons of jihadists. Just keep going with that. Oh, you want somebody else to be taken over. You're okay with voting for other people to lose their land to the jihad. Take away our ancestral homeland. No. You give your ancestral homeland, okay, bro? You're already doing it. Keep doing it all the way. But you know what? The real way to do it is to show some real heart for a humanitarian crisis. Down in Gaza, not so far away from where I'm sitting, down in Gaza, there's 2 million people that are suffering a humanitarian crisis because their leadership, the Hamas, made a war against us. We're fighting back. Now there's a lot of people, maybe 2 million, caught in a crossfire. Your courts have already ruled that they're going to take in refugees. So do it already, Macron. Don't be soft like macaroni. Go do something real in this world. Send the ships. Pick up refugees. Be real. Don't take away our land, bro. That's not right. That's pretty arrogant. That's not the right thing to do. It's not your land to take away. You want to take away pain? Get those refugees. You want a Palestine? Do it in Paris. All right, bro? That's the way to go, right? Macron, okay? From Israel with love and shalom.
I like that, actually. That's the truth. I mean, I used to actually say the two-state solution should involve Marseille, right? It's crazy. They're always willing to give up your land.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, it's funny you posted that, because I actually I do TikTok lives where we have just people come in and we talk about Israel. And you're right, like the last year has been absolutely insane. Like the maximalist rhetoric is over the top. So myself and a couple other creators, what we started doing is we would go live and we would, at first they would make mistakes. They would say stuff like, "Oh, I'm a Zionist, ask me anything," which is a huge mistake, because then they come up and ask stupid stuff like, "Why do you want to kill babies?" and dumb stuff. So what I do is I put up I put up a tag, and then I make them stay on subject, and they hate that. So I'll say something like, Palestinian maximalism, is it working? Or I'll say, was October 7th worth it? Right? They hate that one, by the way. They really hate that one, because they'll come up.
Let's talk
Yeah,
about that.
Sure.
Because let me throw into the ring on that, and then I want to hear what you have to say. On the one hand, you can't deny that October the 7th has been a partial success, especially in the international sphere. You can't deny that it has galvanized campus and media and social media against Israel. So you can't deny there's been a partial success. On the other hand, if you ask Arabs, right, they know that their Gaza has been just annihilated. Now, what does the jihad and Arabs that subscribe to the jihad, what do they want? Let's make it simple. They want to destroy Israel. Now, October the 7th was supposed to be a step towards that, but Israel's totally here. And Gaza is reduced, at least in part, to rubble. And they know that. Even Hebron Arabs know that. And so they're like, there's a part of them that's like, wait a minute. This whole thing, this whole promise of Hamas has not panned out. We're the ones that are living in shambles and in shanties, and Israel seems to be okay. They got hurt, but and yes, the international thing is against them, but they're still here. They're not going anywhere. And so therefore, for a lot of Arabs and pro-Arab people, your question, was October 7th worth it? It's not such simple math. How do you see that?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because they always come on and say the same thing. Absolutely. Right. And then, so what I do is I actually will go, I have like a checklist, and I just say, okay, so let's take a look at what you accomplished, right? So you claim that it was all worth it because you managed to draw attention to the plight of the Palestinians, right? That's their stock answer. And I always tell them, okay, so let's go through what happened. So Hezbollah has been completely neutralized. Like, Hezbollah still exists, but it has absolutely no military capability. And if the Lebanese ever find their testicles, they will remove Hezbollah from Lebanon, right? And they have the ability now where they didn't before, because Hezbollah could pretty much dictate terms, right? Hamas is no longer an entity. Hamas has at best maybe 3,000 or 4,000 fighters. They have no ability to ever conduct an October 7th again, which is what needs to happen. They need to be completely removed. I don't want to see a single one of them, right? To me, it's not done until the absolute last Hamasnik is gone, period. Full stop. There's no discussion. And then on top of that, you have Iran, which was supposed to be a peer-to-peer conflict, right? That was supposed to be a non-asymmetrical war. It was supposed to be a long, drawn-out, very difficult slog. And instead, the IDF literally takes out their entire anti-air apparatus within an hour, flies around the country for 3 hours, blowing up whatever they felt like blowing up, which was, by the way, specifically targeted targets. It wasn't like you were just carpet bombing, because that's another non sequitur. And basically, the IDF showed everybody that Iran was a paper tiger using equipment from the East that could not stand up to the Israeli modified American equipment. And you guys basically showed that, okay, when it comes to a so-called peer-to-peer war, where you don't have to worry about your own civilians being held hostage, you can literally dominate just using air power, right? And so it sent a very strong message to the rest of the Middle East, and I think that most people that were paying attention. And then on top of that, you had Assad, who is he was entrenched. But now all of a sudden, Hezbollah, who is a major part of his power base, is basically removed. The Russians got busy in the Ukraine, so they were, they're not able to help keep Assad in power. And all of a sudden, within days, Assad is leaving for Moscow, right? And then you have, this, it's basically a genocide. I don't care what anybody says. Like, the reason that the pro-Palis don't want to talk about it is because the Alawis, the Christians, and the Druze were actually being attacked by a military, and they televise it themselves, and a lot of that stuff is very reminiscent, it's very reminiscent of October 7th, same action.
And I want to say that I can't play these videos here because I don't want YouTube to ban this video, but like the stuff that I've seen this week, man, it's stomach turning stuff. Okay, I've seen Syrian jihadis genociding villages, walking into hospitals, dead people everywhere because they're shooting them with Kalashnikovs and who knows what else. Yeah. By the way, I saw another video this week, a set of videos of Hamas in Gaza breaking the legs of Arabs who got like wheat not through them. And you just see them taking crowbars to legs, and you see people being mangled. It's hard to get those images out, out of your head. They're so horrific, and then to think that people don't see who the evil party is here. It's sad.
My first trip to Israel, I had a pretty emotional moment when I was in the city of Hebron. Right, I went to the museum there, and I tell everybody that, you know this. I tell everybody that ever goes to Israel, you have to go to Hebron. You have to meet with the spokesperson. It used to be David Wilder, now it's you. I tell them they have to go to the Hadassah Museum. They have to actually hear the story of Hebron through the people of Hebron, right? Because when you hear the stories of the survivors of the 1929 massacre, it's all the same. This is all the same thing. Like the way that they acted then is how they act now. And like you can draw direct actions, like the fact that the way that they treat the women, the way that they treated children, these are all the same thing. And I just watched a video a couple days ago. I made a TikTok about it because I was distraught. I didn't sleep for a couple days after watching it. It's just it because it brings back October 8th, right? October 8th was when I started getting all the videos on Telegram of what happened. And so some of my friends from the Druze community were sending me videos on Telegram, and I accidentally I won't watch them. Like I know that it's going to trigger me. But I accidentally hit play on one, and I started watching it, and I turned it off because it literally, you know, two children being tortured in front of their mother. That's all I'm gonna say, right? And then unalived. And the fact that people could do that, videotape themselves doing it, and then share the video, right? That speaks to a profound psychopathy that I can't, like, as a person, as a normal human being, I cannot reconcile that with the actions of humans. And it reminded me exactly of, I saw very similar things from October 7th. And then it reminded me, I'm not even joking, it reminded me of the Hadassah Museum and hearing the story of the little girl whose entire family was killed next door, and she could hear them screaming, and she heard the neighbors, people that she'd grown up with, she could hear their voices. So it's something that I don't think people in the West can really understand unless they have to do a really deep dive, and they have to actually really pay attention, because it's just beyond our experience.
That's right. Okay, well, you were saying that Jews don't always do the right thing. Let's watch President Trump. I've got two short videos of President Trump talking in the last few days, even one just from a few hours ago. Let's see President Trump first commenting on Hamas, who Hamas is. Let's see that.
They pulled out of Gaza. They pulled out in terms of negotiating. It was too bad. Hamas didn't really want to make a deal. I think they want to die, and it's very, very bad. And it got to be to a point where you're gonna have to finish the job. They really they asked for things. Don't forget, we got a lot of hostages out. So now we're down to the final hostages, and they know what happens after you get the final hostages. And basically, because of that, they really didn't want to make a deal. I saw that. So they pulled out, and they're going to have to fight, and they're going to have to clean it up. You're going to have to get rid of it.
Okay, so get rid of it. In this case, clearly what he's saying, and he's trying to kind of, not say too hard, but he's basically saying, Israel, you got to get rid of these guys. You got to destroy them. There's nothing to do. These guys don't want a deal. And there's a man who knows the art of the deal. They don't want a deal. They know that if you make a deal for the final hostages, then there'll be all out war. One of the main things that Hamas wants out of the deal is the declaration of Israel of a cessation of that war. And that's one thing that Benjamin Netanyahu is not willing to do, because he knows that will be wrong and also destructive of his political career, because he can't leave Hamas in charge of Gaza.
Yeah.
So President Trump is like, I really tried to make a deal. These guys don't want a deal. Okay, fair enough. Now I want you to see one more video. This is really from the last, it might be from the last hour or last 2 hours. Check this out. This is fascinating. He has said this before, but this goes exactly to your point, Ryan, about how not smart it was to ever give up Gaza for Israel. Check this out.
The food, they're stealing the money. They're stealing the money for the food. They're stealing weapons. They're stealing everything. It's a mess. That whole place is a mess. The Gaza Strip, was given many years ago so that they could have peace. That didn't work out too well. when Israel gave that up, whoever was the prime minister at the time, who I know who it was, but it was not exactly a very clever thing to do, because that was given so that they finally have peace, and it's actually made the situation worse.
Ouch. Finally, somebody outing the truth, which is that the whole October 7th is a result of the Gaza land giveaway. Don't do stupid things like give away your land to your worst enemies, the PA, and then subsequent takeover by Hamas. Duh. That's what I was doing in 2005, was trying to block that giveaway. And that's exactly what we said. And at least President Trump here in Israel, it's very hard to actually say it. You can't actually get a word in on the main TV and say, you know, I think this was because we gave away our land to our enemies. Boy, that was dumb. And then the next dumb thing was to give away 1,000 terrorists for one Gilad Shalit. Like, these are stupid things. Let's stop doing stupid things. They lead to much more death. And let's call the original sin the original sin. In this case, the original sin is the Gaza land giveaway of 2005. And here's President Trump being like, whoever that was, Ariel Sharon, that was not a clever thing to do.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because like I'm on kind of like the front line of this advocacy stuff. Like, you're on the front line of the actual war, right? But I'm on the front line. Like, I'm always talking to like grassroots people, and TikTok really is one of the like battlefields on the grassroots front, right?
Well, just
And
parenthetically, I'd love to be there with you.
absolutely,
And I'd love to be your guest from time to time.
absolutely, you're always welcome. Yeah, let me know. It would be
I
great.
might be welcomed by you, but I was not welcomed by TikTok. I was kicked
Yeah.
off summarily off of TikTok, and they told me with no uncertain terms, you out of here and you're never coming back, because I was a Zionist.
Yeah, I just got a 7-day ban for using a word to describe little people, and it was insane. I get banned regularly for being a Zionist, but we fight it. You know, I'm on my third account. I have 20,000 followers on this account. I was up to 50 at one point, but they just ban me every couple months. I make a new account and flip them the bird. But you know, so but what I was trying to get at was you know, like, you guys, what you're doing here, right, with your show and other, like, we call you guys like major content creators. It gives us the ammunition when we're fighting the other side, because what they do is they love to quote things like a Lancet. They'll say, well, did you read the Lancet article that says that 450,000 Palestinians have passed? And I was like, yeah, you mean the Lancet op-ed, because it's not an article, right? But then we can come back with like videos that you guys are making and say, well, listen, this guy's the international spokesperson for the city of Hebron. He has a little bit more cachet than, you know, Steve from Omaha, you know? So we try to make sure that people actually, you know, get this content out, because, to be blunt, like you said, the rise in anti-Semitism, I haven't seen anything like this in my lifetime. And it's like, on TikTok especially, we're seeing people actually coming up and throwing up Hitler salutes. Like,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
seeing people, yeah, it's
Hitler's
insane.
cool. Hitler's cool
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. And like
Nazism is cool.
yeah, it's so weird. And like, you know, I used to, one of my things that I used to say about the, you know, the kafia is I would say, oh, nice hipster swastika you have there. And like, now people are like, yeah, swastikas are cool. And I'm just like, what world am I in? What is going on here? You know, like, and like, I'm sure you've seen it. Every comment that I have on my videos, there's always at least one guy that says it was promised to them 3,000 years ago. Like, they think that that's some kind of gotcha and it's a burn. And I'm always like, well, here's the thing, dude. I'm not even Jewish, but even I know that the creator loves these people. Like, and I that's gotta bother them, because at the end of the day, I think what really bothers them the most about Jews is that despite all of this nonsense, despite everything they throw at you, you stay Jewish. Right?
It is pretty amazing. I myself am sometimes I'm amazed by myself, and you know, Ryan, I want to tell you that a deep thought that I've had recently about what you're saying right now is that Israel has a modality of being a light unto the nations, a great country, a country that has spirituality and medicine and technology and all these nice things, but that is predicated on the nations wanting to receive that. So the light's coming at you, you want to receive it, okay? But if you don't want to receive it and you hate the Jews, then Israel becomes not a light unto the nations, but a Noah's Ark. It's now, right now, it's a lifeboat. It's a big, what's it called, like shelter.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big shelter right now, and like Jews are coming in to be safe from this international hate. All right, you know what? Let's watch some of the kind of videos that you deal with. Here's one about your favorite topic: are Jews indigenous? Let's play this and see what you think about that.
Aside. A popular Zionist argument goes like this. Jews are indigenous to Israel. Colonial empires took their land, now it should be returned. Time doesn't matter when fighting colonialism. Let's break that down, not emotionally, but factually. First, yes, some Jewish tribes originated in the Levant thousands of years ago. But over 2,000 years ago, most Jews were dispersed, and their descendants became the Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and Mizrahi communities across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Meanwhile, the ancestors of today's Palestinians, Muslim, Christian, and even some Jews, remained on the land. Genetic and archaeological studies show deep continuity between them and the ancient Levantine populations like the Canaanites, Arameans, and Philistines. So if indigenous means continuous physical presence in a land, not just some distant ancestral story, then Palestinians are at least as indigenous, and arguably more so. Israel's founding in 1948 didn't decolonize, by the way. It replaced one colonial structure, British rule, with another, a European-backed settler movement that displaced native people. You can't decolonize a land by kicking out the people who never left. Indigenous rights don't expire, but they also don't justify new displacements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was right up your alley. What do you say?
Oh yeah. So I actually made a video reply to that gentleman, and he didn't like it. So it's really simple. First off, being dispersed from your ancestral land doesn't abnegate indigeneity. Especially if you're like the Jewish people and you manage to maintain your identity in exile, then his entire point there is moot, right? The second thing, and this is an important one because a lot of people don't really understand this, the British weren't technically a colonial entity, right? And a lot of people forget that. They didn't bring in a bunch of British people to settle in Israel, right? What they did was they created what was called the Palestinian Mandate. And if you read the mandatory documents, the entire granting of the mandate was contingent upon what? The reconstitution of the Jewish national home, right? Basically, it was the British saying, we are going to help rebuild the Jewish national home. And in return, you should let us have control, and this place will be a protectorate until they're ready to reconstitute the Jewish nation. That was literally the League of Nations mandate. They said, okay, we're going to give you the control of this land, but in return, you have to guarantee that you're going to help the Jews rebuild a nation state. That's bottom line. That's why the whole legality of Judea and Samaria, like whenever they say it's against international law, that's bullshit. The whole point of the Palestinian Mandate was literally to help the Jews reconstitute their national home.
By the way, when I tell people about the mandate for Palestine, I call it the mandate for I add the word Jewish Palestine, because at that time the word Palestine meant a Jewish Palestine. That's what it meant, and that was a League of Nations. And that's a great point you're making, that the British and were not really colonialists in that sense, because they weren't colonizing. They were trying to reconstitute our ancestral country there. That's true. Also, his verbiage about the Arabs, it misses the point. First thing is, the majority of Arabs came here in the 20s and 30s. They came here because of Jewish the opportunity that Zionism made for labor, for jobs.
More importantly, though, listen to what he did. Right? I hear these kinds of BS arguments daily, probably 10 or 11 times a day when I'm on TikTok, right? So what you have to pay attention to what they say and how they say it. Now, what he does is he takes just enough truth so that somebody who just doesn't have a very deep background in this subject will be fooled by it, right? Like, you notice he talks about the diaspora. He even uses words like Mizrahi, Sephardi, Ashkenazim, because that makes it sound like he's actually done some studying. But then he goes off on these tangents after he establishes that he knows a little bit. That's when he throws in the bullshit about how, oh well, being indigenous means being there a really long time. No, there's no such thing as a time component to indigeneity. My people didn't. My people haven't been around for thousands of years. My people had an ethnogenesis in the 1700s, right? But we are a defined indigenous people. And because indigeneity has no time component, it has no statute of limitations. Indigeneity is about, did your people have an ethnogenesis in a specific place, right?
Mm.
And like I said with the 5 fingers, the Jews meet all of the criteria.
Say them
What
again.
really, yeah, language, land, culture, blood, spirituality. All of those things work in conjunction. They're all site specific, right? We know what the Jewish ancestral land is. We know what the Jewish language is, the culture. They love to try and use that one against you guys, right? They will say, well, then how come there's Mizrahi and Ashkenazi culture? And it's like, yes, but I've been to your house for a Shabbat dinner. I've been to a Moroccan friend's house for Shabbat dinner. I've been to Yemeni people's houses for Shabbat dinner. And there are very core things that you all do, right?
Yeah.
There's little differences, right? Like I like the food at your house a lot better than some of the other places, but I'm going to be blunt. Like it's the little things are not the important. The minutiae is not the important stuff. The core common culture that the Jews maintained in exile, that's what's key.
Well, one of the things that Anat Wilf mentions, which I think she got it from you, is this idea that our holidays are based on the chronology of the seasons in this land. And the very thing that we celebrate in Judaism, Passover and Sukkot, these are all tied into the land of Israel. Like our whole, like, that's what I try to tell people. I'm like, Hebron is the DNA of the Jewish people. That's where we're from. We even have family names, Hebron, and like it's very much tied into who we are. By the way, I just want to say that there are people around the world right now who are supporting our discussion, and they're doing it through super chats. And so I just want to mention them right now. First thing, PC gave 10 euros there without saying much, just 2 hearts in the land of Israel. Thank you so much. Posami gifted 5 Yishai Fleisher memberships. That's very nice of you. Thank you so much. And thank you for that blessing. Daylight says, world is Meshuggah, which means crazy. We stand with Israel. And thank you very much. Sadly, I don't recognize that flag, but I'm also colorblind, so it's not always easy for me to remember colors like that. You could tell me, Daylight, what flag that is. And there's others, including Carol, who writes, I come from Northern Ireland. We've always been here. We were here long before America, but we still are called planters. Okay, very good. Okay, so there's definitely a lot of people, indigenous people around the world. By the way, one of the things that I've noticed, sometimes I go into, when I'm speaking in a room, I just go, who here identifies as an ancient people? and a lot so it's going to be Indians, it's going to be Persians if you have any of them, there's going to be Asians, then there's a few other kinds, but really not so many others. And I just say to them, we are a type of family, ancient peoples. Like that is, I understand what you said about indigeneity not having a time component, but still though, having like an ancient culture and an ancient people, it's something, you know what I mean? And you're not going to willy-nilly erase that with a fabricated story.
Yeah, of course. Okay, I want to give a shout out really quick because there is something important that I think. So like I have friends in Iran, right? I've had friends in Iran since the first Green Wave revolution, right? Like that was when the students were hitting the streets in 2006. And I was really,
what happened to those students. They were gunned down, and some of them were nabbed, tortured in prisons, never seen again by the Iranian mullah regime, which so loves its people that it suppresses them at every opportunity and tortures people who stand against them.
Exactly. And some of the people doing that were members of the Basiji, and some of them were actually Palestinians that the regime brought in, and that's documented. The reason I wanted to bring them up is because we're seeing around the world, like, yes, I know sometimes it can be tough because we're seeing anti-Semitism rising to some pretty unprecedented heights. I mean, it's scary, even for me. And I live in the middle of nowhere. So I can't imagine what it would be like for a Jewish person living in a city, you know. but I have Persian friends that have been very vocal, and they have family in Iran, and they've shown videos. Now you got to remember that, like you said, doing something like this in downtown Edmonton is not going to be the same as doing something like this in downtown Tehran. The regime had put Israeli
And,
flags on the ground.
and yet downtown, what's it called? The French, the beautiful French city.
Oh, Paris or Marseille?
No, in Canada.
Oh, Montreal. Yeah,
Montreal. I was in Montreal, and
It looks like
holy cow, man! The anti-Semitism that I saw in Montreal blew my mind.
yeah.
I went to
it's
Carleton University with my producer. We were there, and we're like, oh my god, it was crazy, and that was like 15 years.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, just recently here in Canada at the University of Guelph, a professor put on Twitter that Hamas is a terrorist organization, and now he's in court because they fired him for saying that Hamas is a terrorist organization.
Oh wow,
This is Canada in a nutshell right now.
It goes both ways. You can say anti-Israel stuff. The minute you say anti-Hamas stuff, you're shut down.
Yeah, it's crazy in Canada, especially. It's insane. But the reason I wanted to bring up what's going on is that you have the Iranians. The Iranian people are, they're openly doing stuff like where they put those flags on the ground, expecting people to walk on them because in the Middle East, walking on something is an insult. And there's videos of these young people walking around it or using a different door rather than stepping on the flag. So it's like at the one hand, yeah, there's some crazy anti-Semitism. On the other, I am seeing a lot of stuff. There's a guy named Amjad Taha from the UAE. There's like these all of a sudden there's these Arab advocates that are coming out and saying, listen, like at the end of the day, we're the ones that are having to live, and we're the ones trying to figure out a way to live with the Israelis, because the Israelis are not the problem. The Israelis are not the ones causing the issues. And I think that, earlier we talked about it. I think that emotional arguments work really well in the short term, right? And one thing that the Pallies do really, really well is they flip those emotional switches. There's a really great Instagram and Twitter account called Gazawood, right?
Sure.
And they post the videos.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, he's awesome because he takes the videos, he breaks them down, and he shows, why these are so insane. And the average person, when you see a picture of a woman holding a what looks like an emaciated baby, and they're like, the people of Gaza are starving and we have no food. And then like most people are like, oh, that's so horrible. Like, look at the emaciated child. And then literally you don't like examine it, right? But then when somebody actually takes a look, they're like, wait a minute, the woman has 3 chins, right? Like people with 3 chins are generally not considered to be starving. Then you look in the background, and in one of the pictures, there's literally an emaciated child with a bottle of milk beside the child, and the caption is, "We don't have any milk." Like, at some point, like what happens is you get past the emotional reaction at first, and you start actually examining it. And I think a lot of people are actually starting to say, "Hey, you know what? How is it that Ryan can go on Google right now and Google restaurants in Gaza, and there's open restaurants in Gaza, but they're supposedly starving to death, and it's supposedly a concentration camp. I don't remember ice cream shops in Bergen-Belsen.
Let's watch some of those movies. Before that, I forgot to put up one of the folks that are doing super chats. And Earth Prism says, keep making content. Keep making content. Thank you very much, Earth Prism. Earth, not prison, but prism. Okay. The light to the earth, not the prison, because we're fighting back against that Earth prison that's out there of the dark ideas that people have. Here, first, here, let's do 2 videos on on this issue of the food. Here's Hamas and how they treat aid that comes into Gaza. So basically what you have there is Gaza food trucks coming into Gaza. They're being taken over immediately by Hamas. and they have their fighters, their terrorists on top of that, threatening anybody who might take that food. So there's the food, and there's who's controlling it. Here's somebody that asks about that. Here we go.
Food left, and if there is food left, it's $100 for a bag of flour.
If they have to pay $100 for one bag of flour, then who do you blame for it? Is the IDF selling bags of flours or humanitarian aids to the Gazans? No. They give it to them for free with the distribution aid centers. But who does? That's right. Hamas. Hamas sells it for ridiculous prices so they can keep their operation going. If you want to blame anybody for not having food, blame Hamas. Blame Hamas for invading Israel on October 7th. Blame Hamas for holding the hostages. Blame Hamas for not releasing the hostages unconditionally. And blame Hamas for making it happen. If you actually chill for a second and look at some facts, you might come up with some pretty rational thoughts. Thank you. And get that Chai necklace off your neck.
I like Sahar. He's a good kid.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I mean, so that you told me before the show that that's like the whole genocide and starvation thing. That's like the big one. Hey, can you believe it? Can you believe something, Ryan Bellarose, a Métis activist? Can you believe that the blood libel is back?
Oh.
It's back.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
I got to tell you, like some of the okay. So the three, I made a video called "The Three Dumbest Things I've Ever Heard in My Life." The first one was the Jews are allergic to olive trees. 90% of Israelis are allergic to olive trees. That was an argument. They actually were making that argument like seriously with a straight face. The next one, and like it's like the way they do this with straight faces. The Jews are stealing organs from Palestinians in Gaza. Like they don't understand how refrigeration works and how deterioration of tissue works. Like they don't understand any of that stuff, right? So they just make up these things like they were stealing the eyeballs and the livers out of Palestine. And I'm like, what is wrong with you people? And then my personal favorite, the blood. And I was absolutely gobsmacked when a supposed doctor, by the way, was on a pro-Palestinian TikTok live, and he was saying, we know that the Jews drain the blood of the Palestinians so that they can eat it. There's a special, it's called adrenochrome, and they take the adrenochrome from the Palestinians and they drink it. And I'm literally watching, and I was like, this is literally medieval blood libel. This is no different. This is the scariest thing, Yishai, is there are people that nod along with it.
sure.
They're like,
Oh,
yeah.
Here we go. So you brought me right into this one. Here's where the state of society is.
What if the Jewish
Ugh.
did something to the Germans that made them act
They
a certain
did.
way, but nobody wants to talk about it? Like the Jews don't want to take accountability.
That's
They
good.
don't.
That's
Yes.
I'm with you on that one.
Okay.
I'm curious.
That's why.
And I
That's
used to
why.
work for
Like
I'm with you on
they
that
was
one.
up to something, so the Germans wanted to take them out.
Like payback.
It had to be something. Like Germans wanted to take them out, all of them out.
They damn near
Mark
wiped
likes
everybody
something.
off the map.
Something.
They started it.
So get somebody
Damn,
that
he
mad.
choosing
Here we
hard.
go.
Like, yeah, talk shit about them. Fight them out.
The Holocaust was the only way he can take out a huge population, like a huge amount of Jews all in one setting. But I already know what's going on. Like, I'm not dumb. Like, I know, like, the Jews did something. That's why they sent up here. They're trying to take back, like, they're trying to take back and get repercussions, especially from America, like, from Americans. So
I think she meant reparations.
they're
Yeah.
taking over the government and stuff like that.
I'm telling you, how do we take them down?
How do we take them down?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Gotta kill the motherfuckers.
I hate to say it.
My bad, y'all.
My bad.
Hitler, he had the plan, but his plan was just too, like, very, like, gruesome, if you can say it.
Listen,
He said,
he had to do what he had to do.
But he had to do it.
Listen,
All right, so that is the situation out there. People are talking like this, and this is not so different than Kanye West stuff, right?
No, well, so that's Myron Gaines, right? He's a fairly big name in the Twitch. It used to be the Twitch space. Now it's like they call it the streamerverse. It's where like you met Stephen Bonnell, Destiny. I mean, that like there's literally this whole other world that most people that actually are outside touching grass have no clue even exists. And in that world, those people are now pretty much taking over. Like it's very rare to meet somebody like Lonerbox or Destiny that are at least somewhat like I have my beefs with both of them. I've had arguments with them. But they at least try to get a little bit of it right. Like they do research, like they actually I was really glad that they managed to talk to you because they listened to both sides. And I kept telling them for like over a year that they needed to talk to you. There's a couple other like Israel advocates that I believe are like, look, you guys get the reputation of being extreme, but you're anything but extreme. If you actually listen to the things you're saying, like if we look at the spectrum from 1 to 10, right? Their most extreme people at the 10 are advocating genocide and like what you just saw Myron Gaines doing, right? Like subtly saying, hey, we should just kill them all, right? On our side, the most extreme people are people like you and I that say things like, we can't really live with these people, so we should help them go somewhere else where they can have a better life and stop trying to kill Jews, right? And then people look at us and they're like, that's genocidal. And then you see Myron Gaines literally saying, well, how do we get rid of these people, right? And in this online universe, what we're seeing is the change in the discourse, and it's crazy. Like in less than a year, it's gone from oh well, I'm just a humanitarian, like I want to see peace for both sides, blah blah blah, to well, we should just kill the Jews. I'm gobsmacked. Like I honestly never thought I'd see that.
And here's the other side. First thing, here is we're calling, people are out there calling for the death of the Jews. I just wanted to show you what the other side is. First, here is Rashida Tlaib and her offering to help the situation of the world and help think about this a little bit deeper. Here's her offering.
This is all for you.
That's it. I don't know what to say about that other than where did the ice cream actually go? You know what I mean? Did she give the ice cream to Hamas? Are they selling it now as humanitarian aid? What does she mean by that? I don't know what she meant by that. But a little bit more seriously, is what Hamas supporters are saying in the streets. Check this out.
Between us and them is that for them, they think life begins. For us, we believe that death begins. We believe that life begins at death. We don't care about death. We love death.
Yeah, seems reasonable. Do you know what the place needs? More of whatever that is. What a joke. Deport. Boom. All gone.
So there you go. You know that guy?
Yeah, it's Mohammed Hijab, the guy screaming. He goes to a place called Speaker's Corner, and he's a physically imposing person, right? But he's cowardly. So you notice he'll always go and try and pick on people that are smaller than him. And Joseph Cohen used to go and just school the guy. Like he used to go there and just absolutely beast him. And now he won't even talk to Joseph because he's been embarrassed too many times. Like these people are cowardly.
Well, at the same time, we're seeing that philosophy of embracing death is more popular right now.
Oh yeah,
the light and
somebody else.
Wait, I have a question for you, Ryan. Here's my question. I know the answers that you've given us today are technical. They're the truth answers. Truth as opposed to lies. Life as opposed to death. Israel as opposed to jihad. Israeli indigeneity as opposed to the contrived story of Palestinianism. Fine. But what's going on in the world? Like, what is it all about? Like, why has it gone so insane? And my producer, Yo, pointed out to me something very true, which is if Wikipedia has become so mired in the muck, so slanted and biased, then that feeds the AI. And AI is the new kind of subconscious of the world. It's the it's what is truth in this perverse sense. So like, where are we, Ryan? You're out there in almost at the Arctic. I'm here in the land of Israel. We're trying to fight for truth, but where's this world going? Like, if these young people are sitting around some microphones, and instead of talking about liberation from slavery, instead of talking about Martin Luther King and his love for Israel, instead of talking about liberty for the world, for mankind, instead of talking about prosperity and hospitals and spirituality, they're talking that Hitler's kind of cool. Like, where are we at? Where are we going?
So I think what really drives this is, for a lot of young people, like young men especially, they want to be a hero in the story, right? Now, it doesn't necessarily always mean being a hero in the right story. It doesn't even mean being a hero on the good guys' side of the story. They just want to be a hero in the story. And, like, one thing that I think is always kind of humorous to me is the way that the Palestinians try to make themselves not just the underdog, but the way that they talk about, we're not afraid to die. We're willing to die for this, right? And that resonates with young people because they don't have strong beliefs about anything anymore. Nobody has really strong morals. Nobody has a really strong moral compass. So they hear that and it resonates with them because, like, what is one thing that young people, like young men especially, think about all the time? It's like dying a glorious death, right? You see it all the time, by the way, on TikTok shorts and on YouTube shorts. These videos about, dreaming about the Roman Empire, or, they show like video games where somebody dies a glorious death. And so, like, that's how these kids, they don't think that, hey, when you're dead, you're gone. They don't think like that.
That's very close to jihadism.
That's exactly why jihadism plays well to them, right? Because to them, they're when they talk about fighting to the last man, you ever notice that when they say we'll fight to the last man, it's never them, right? Like the Hamasniks that were saying it, they were in Doha. They were like chilling in a 5-star in Qatar. And meanwhile, they're saying, we're going to fight to the last man. And meanwhile, you see people in Gaza, the ones that are actually, the ones dying, and they're like, wait a minute, like, no, we'll leave. We wouldn't mind leaving. We'd rather leave than be dead. But then you have all these people, no, you want to fight to the last man. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we do want to fight to the last. It's like, no, you don't. No, you really don't.
You know how many Arabs want to just get out? There's so many videos of Arabs just being like, Iftah al-bab, just open the door. Just open the door for us, man. It's like, honestly, there's a lot of hate for the Jews, but there's a lot of disregard for the basic humanity of the Arabs.
100%.
It's just crazy how and then they throw that inhumanity onto Israel as though Israel's the inhumane party. It's like, we're fighting the terrorists, but I criticize Israel as well because I'm like, send the ships, help them get out.
It's funny you said that, Yishai, because I said this in a debate the other day, right? A friend of mine kind of gave me the idea, and I put it into my own words. It's really interesting to me that everybody says things like Israel, and I'm going to use all the buzzwords here, so some people are probably going to get butthurt. But like, they'll come on to a live and they'll say Israel's a genocidal apartheid state. It's mass murdering, it's slaughtering, blah, 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 right? And then in the next sentence, they'll say they should take in more Palestinians, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, so what you're saying is you really hate the Palestinians? And they're like, no, Israel has to take them in. It's the law. And I'm like, do you think that during World War II, at the height of the Holocaust, when we knew that Jews were being, mass exterminated by a psychopathic regime, did you ever hear Jewish people saying, you know what we need to do? We need more Jews to go to Germany. Like, no. Give your friggin' head a shake. Like, if you genuinely cared about these people and you genuinely thought there was a genocide, you wouldn't be advocating to send more of them to the genocide. So it's like, now you have to choose. Do you really believe it's a genocide? Because I know that they don't. Or do you know that you're just saying that so that you can force Israel to do something that you know is going to lead to the detriment of Israel? Right? It's such a nonsensical thing. And, but all of this.
But do you have hope for the world, or do you think that we're going to some kind of moral decrepitude, some general malaise that is hard to, a abyss of consciousness that we're falling from. Like I am searching for a deeper spiritual meaning to this time. And I could tell you that here in Israel, there's an element of heroism. There's an element of a return to Jewish consciousness and Jewish spirituality. Like there is also a great light that has come through the October 7th phenomenon and the wars and a heroism. I had Moshe Feiglin on the show. We talked a lot about that. Like we here in the land feel and some of us here in the land, many of us feel a great light as opposed to the darkness that's enveloping the world. I'm just trying to make sense of it. Like, where's this world going?
Well, I had a friend say something to me a while back, and it was, it was a kind of a moment for me. She said, she actually were talking on the phone, and she said, would you hide me and my family? And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, things are getting to that point. Like, if things get really, really bad, would you hide my family? And I said, no. And she said, what? Like, why not? And I said, because if shit gets that bad, I'll already be dead. Because there's no way that I'm going to sit and watch things descend to that level without doing something. And I think that there's enough people, like, you're not alone. You know that. You know that there are people out here that will continue to fight. There are people out here that will literally to the last breath. And we're not like very bombastic about it. You're not going to see us talking about jihadism and yelling Allah Akbar, but we're not gonna, we won't go quietly into the night. Let's put it that way.
That's a beautiful sentiment, Ryan Bellarose. I will add a complimentary thought to your friend who is a Jew, obviously. I would say to her, sister, don't let it go that far. There are many people like Ryan who will defend you, will fight for you, but you have a homeland. And maybe this hate of the world is also a symptom of the love of God who's bringing his people back home. And
I did tell her, I did tell her afterwards, I said, if this is how you genuinely feel, you need to start thinking about Aliyah.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. Listen, I've always said that making Aliyah you should be running towards, right? Like, you should be going because of your love for your people and your love for your land.
Definitely.
That's why, I hate the idea of making Aliyah because you're running away from something. Right. But at the same time, like what I'm seeing, like you saw that video with Gaines, like these people, they're gleeful, Yishai. Like, this is what scares me, right? It's one thing to be, like bigoted or racist or whatever. It's another thing entirely to be gleeful.
Yeah.
And these people it's like they're so happy that they're able to express these ridiculously anti-Semitic views in public, and the pushback is not as strong as you would think it would be.
Yeah, definitely. Not at all. You know what else, Ryan? I'm going to say something very Jewish. It might sound a little weird to you. Okay. It's a very Jewishy thing I'm about to say. You know what's weird for me? To be angry at the world. It's not in our DNA. Like, we don't want to hate the world. I don't want to look at Europe and be like, ew, 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 ew. All of you guys suck. I don't want to think that way. I don't want to think about Canada. When I think about Canada, I want to think about maple syrup and Niagara Falls. I want to think about the Aurora Borealis and maybe coming out to you. I don't want to think that this is a dark country that has allowed Israel hate. And yet I'm forced to look at the world and be like, so many of you are just gross. And I have to tell my children, that's when it gets embarrassing. I'm like, yeah, kids, the world is an ugly place, which is not in my DNA, because my DNA is to say the world is a beautiful place and people want to connect with spirituality and Israel and good things. And the world is a good place. There's a few dark things. It's not like that right now. And so I have to tell my kids, the world's icky. Just, we're going to stay and we're going to connect with with Ryan, and we're going to connect with my friends at Hayovel or whatever it is. We're going to connect with many good people out there. But there's a darkness. There's a darkness that has descended into this world, and these places are yucky.
Absolutely. I never thought I would see the day when a friend of mine from Israel asked me if her son could come and spend a couple weeks up here. And my first thought was, but then he'd have to fly from Israel and, go through a couple different countries. And I didn't want to take responsibility for that. Like that. I never thought in my lifetime I would see something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's mind blowing to me. And what's more mind blowing is the fact that there's people that are celebrating this. Like they're openly like, hey, you guys, who you're not allowed to criticize. That's how you can tell. It's like, I don't know if you guys are paying close attention, but it seems to me like, people are pretty comfortable saying ridiculous shit about Jews.
Right. But I want you to know, Ryan, though, the atmosphere in country right now in Israel, there's like an inner peace. It's like the eye of the storm. It's like everything is like there's a sweetness. There's a sweetness here. It's almost like if the sweetness is gone from all these other places, there's like more of a sweetness here. It's like it's more lit up because the light is more concentrated. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be back in the end of September for my goddaughter's bat mitzvah. So
we are looking forward to having you, and please save a day for me to tour around and see some of the good stuff.
Absolutely, always, my friend.
Ryan Bellarose is a Métis activist, and obviously not just for Indigenous rights of First Nations in Canada, but also for one of the firstest of all nations, which is Israel. Thank you very much for being with us, and thanks for your fight out there on TikTok and other places. People can check you out. What do they type in? Ryan Bellarose, and they'll find you?
Yeah, but Ryan knows things on X, and yes, Ryan still knows things on on TikTok because that's like my 4th account now. So
keep fighting for that TikTok truth. God bless you, Ryan. Thanks so much for being with us.
Be safe, my friend.
God bless you. Thank you very much. Boy, that was a lot of fun. Restored my faith in humanity. Gosh, Baruch Hashem. There are good people in this world, and I know that if you're watching, you are part of it. You are part of it. And I just want to thank all the good folks that are part of it. Don't forget to like. What is this? Am I sweating? I guess I'm sweating. Like, subscribe, comment. Don't forget to become a member. And another good way to do it is, thank you, Yo, for putting up the Ryan. Put it up for a little bit longer, Yo, so people can read it. Great. And I want to remind you also that we have a YouTube store that is womaned by Malka, like Mand, and she's doing great stuff there. Check out that store there. It's a lot of fun, and you could get your Indigenous Judean T-shirt with the menorah fist. Everybody loves that shirt. Oh my God, it's still about merchandising. That's right. We're still gonna merchandise the light because there's great energy when you wear it. You feel it. You show it. And don't forget, there's a lot of people who need encouragement. That means that they need courage. Your courage encourages others. Okay. And when you're discouraged and afraid, well, that also broadcasts. We got to broadcast strength. And I think that's what Ryan did also just now in this program. Strength. I'm going to fight. I'm not going to go quietly into the night. And the good light will come back into this world. I believe it. Okay. I'm reminding you that right now I'm on reserves. I got to go back tomorrow morning early. So I just want to do one more segment with you today, which is a special segment, and that is to play for you the chief rabbi of Tzfat, Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu, one of the great spiritual leaders of Israel these days. And Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu has a message for the leadership in Iran. He's speaking in Hebrew. It's translated to Arabic. There's subtitles in Hebrew and in Arabic, and I will translate it into English. So let's watch together Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu as he addresses the Iranian leadership.
אני פונה פה לחמינאי, המנהיג העליון של איראן.
Hi, I am turning directly to Khamenei, the top leader, the foremost leader of the Iranian regime.
ולכל חכמי הדת שלו.
And all of his spiritual leaders or thinkers around him.
שמעתי שאמרתם שהניצחון הגדול של עם ישראל שהיה ב-12 הימים במלחמה מולכם, זה בגלל ג'ינים, שדים, שעזרו לנו.
I heard that you guys have said that the reason that Israel won the 12th day battle engagement between Israel and Iran was because of all kinds of occult forces, demons that helped us.
יש לי טעות, לתקן אתכם. זה פשוט טעות.
So I want to help you I want to fix that for you, fix a little mistake that you have misunderstood what is really going on. I want to help you understand it.
אנחנו לא משתמשים בשדים.
Negative. We do not use demonic devils or satanic forces at all.
יש חוכמה שמסבירה איך משתמשים בשדים, אנחנו
There is a knowledge about how to use demonic forces, but that is not what we're doing.
ממש לא משתמשים בהם.
We do not use them.
למה לא? מכיוון שיש לנו מלאכים קדושים.
We do not use demonic forces. The opposite, we have holy angels
שעוזרים לנו במלחמות האלה.
that help us in these wars, in these battles.
לא רק במלחמה הזאת, גם במלחמת ששת הימים שהייתה ב-67.
Not only in this 12-day war, but also in the 6-day war that happened in 1967.
איך ניצחנו לבד את מצרים ואת סוריה ואת ירדן?
How could you explain how we alone defeated Egypt and Syria and Jordan
כל המדינות שעזרו להם.
and all of the nations that helped them? How did we defeat them?
איך ניצחנו ב-48 בתש"ח? כמעט בלי נשק.
How did we defeat all these Arab armies in 1948 almost without any weapons?
10 מדינות שקמו עלינו.
10 countries came up against us.
איך אנחנו עושים את זה? אנחנו לא יכולים, אנחנו לא מלאכים.
How do we do it? We can't do it. We're not angels. How is it that we were able to defeat them?
אלוקים שולח את המלאכים אלינו.
What happens is that God sends us his angels.
כי אלוקים מבטיח ומקיים.
Because God promises and fulfills his promises.
הוא לא משקר. הוא הבטיח, אתה יודע מה זה אלוקים, האל הגדול.
You know he does not lie. Do you know what God is, the great God? He does not lie.
וזה גם כתוב אצלכם.
And it says so as well in your texts.
אם אנשים מאמינים באמת באלוקים ולא מזייפים, יקראו מה שכתוב.
If people believe actually what they say, if they really have faith in God, see for yourself. See what it says in the second surah.
חמינאי, המנהיג העליון של איראן, כתוב בסורה 2.
It says in the second surah in the Quran.
שם כתוב שהנביא שלכם, מוחמד, אומר, אנחנו נתנו למשה את ספר התורה.
So it says that your prophet, Muhammad, says in the Quran, we gave Moses, it's the way the Quran has a voice of God. We gave Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, the great prophet, we gave him the book of the Torah.
ויש רק ספר תורה אחד בעולם. אין שני ספר תורה.
There's only one Torah in this world, not 2 Torahs. There's no 2 books of Torah.
כל הנוסחאות שיש ספר תורה אחד. כן? ובסוף 6 כתוב, ספר התורה מבורך הוא.
And in the 6th surah it says that the Torah is a book which is blessed.
ובסורה 10 כתוב, שאם יש לך שאלה על ספר התורה, תשאל את היהודים.
And the 10th surah says if you have a question about the Torah, ask the Jews.
הם מבינים בזה. זה בני ישראל.
They understand it. The Jewish people, they understand that Torah.
אז תדעו לכם, בתורה כתוב, שאלוקים נשבע, אני אתן את ארץ ישראל לעם ישראל.
So you should know that in the Torah it says that God swears that I will give the land of Israel to the nation of Israel.
לעם ישראל. והנה אנחנו חוזרים לפה אחרי 2000 שנה.
And now we are coming back here after 2,000 years from 102 countries.
מ-102 מדינות. כי אלוקים מבטיח ומקיים.
Why? Because God promises and he fulfills. He promised, I'll keep going, let him say it.
הוא הבטיח שהארץ תהיה שממה.
He promised that the land is going to be empty.
הייתה שממה 2000 שנה בגלות.
And indeed, it was empty for 2,000 years while we were in dispersion and exile.
הבטיח שהארץ תהיה פורחת שנחזור.
He promised that the land would become once again fertile and flowering when we come back.
הנה פורחת עכשיו.
Here it is now, full of fertility.
אלוקים מבטיח ומקיים.
God promises and he fulfills.
אלוקים מבטיח לנו את ירושלים שתהיה בנויה, הנה היא בנויה.
God promises us that Jerusalem is going to be rebuilt, and now here it is rebuilt.
הבטיח לנו חוכמה גדולה. נתן לנו חוכמה.
He promised us a lot of wisdom, a lot of sagacity, a lot of smarts. And here we are, the Jewish people, with a lot of sagacity and smarts.
הבטיח לנו עושר גדול, נתן לנו עושר.
God promised us great wealth, and here's great wealth.
זה לא משלנו, אנחנו לא כאלה מוכשרים.
It's not from us. We're not so talented.
זה הכל מתנה שלו.
It's all his gift.
מי שהולך נגדו, אין לו סיכוי.
Anybody who goes against Hashem, Allah, has no chance. Has no chance.
כל הניצחון שיש לנו זה ממנו.
Every victory that we have, the Jewish people, it comes from Hashem, it comes from Allah, it comes from on high. It comes from God, it doesn't come from us.
כשהוא עוזר, אף אחד לא יכול עלינו.
And when he helps, nobody can defeat us.
והוא עזר בכל המלחמות שהיו, וגם במה שיהיה.
He helped us with all the wars that have been, and all that will be. Hashem is with us.
לכן אתם צריכים לדעת.
Therefore, you have to know.
שללכת נגד אויבינו סכנה. במיוחד שאצלנו.
You should know that going against us is a danger to you. It's dangerous for you. Especially because it says.
לכן כתוב. כן, בסורה 5 כתוב.
In the 5th surah of the Quran it says.
שהקדוש ברוך הוא אלוקים מבטיח את ארץ ישראל לעם ישראל.
It says that God Almighty promises the land of Israel to the nation of Israel.
תקדמו בדרככם אל הארץ הקדושה אשר הבטיח לכם אלוקים.
The surah says, move forward and go towards the Holy Land which God has promised you.
וגם בסורה 7 וגם בסורה.
And also in the 7th surah, and also in the 10th surah, and also in the 20th surah, it says it over and over again.
בסורה 10 וגם בסורה 28. איך אתם יכולים ללכת נגד מה שכתוב אצלכם בכתבים המקודשים שלכם?
How could you go against what it says in your holy books? How could you go against that? How could you go against what it says in your holy books that this land belongs to us because God gives it to us?
יש כמובן אנשים שמזייפים, אבל
there are people who want to fib it and warp it.
תראו את האמת ותראו את המציאות.
But look for truth and look at the reality. Look how the truth that the land was promised to us by God and the reality that we're here is commensurate.
אמר וזה קורה.
God said and it is coming to fruition.
כן, ותדעו לכם שגם העתיד הוא אותו דבר.
You should know that the future is the same as what we're talking about.
ואם אתם רוצים להציל את החיים שלכם, לכו עם אלוקים.
If you want to save your life, if you want blessings for yourself, go with God.
לכו מה שכתוב בתורה.
Go with what it says in the Torah.
מה שהנביא שלכם מוחמד כותב בקוראן, לכו.
See what your prophet Muhammad says in the Quran. Go with that.
עם זה, ולא מי שמסית אתכם ללכת נגד אלוקים.
Go with that and not with those that try to take you away from the path of God.
מי שהולך נגד אלוקים, אין לו שום סיכוי בעולם.
Because he who goes against God has no chance in this world.
חבל עליכם.
Too bad. It would be bad for you. It would be too bad for you. It would be injurious to you.
לכו עם אלוקים ותחיו.
Go with God and live. Go with God and live. So that is a message of Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu to the leaders of Iran, but really it's actually more of a message to the people of Islam. Look at the reality. God is with the Jews. Look at the Quran. Look at the Torah. Look at the promises. It's not through some devilish act. It's not through some satanic power. Come on. That's all ways to actually try to erase the clarity that God has given, has said, and is fulfilling in this world. And that is that is a message from a rabbi, and translated into Arabic. I just translated into English, and that's a message for any of us that really want to right this world and leave it better for our children. All right, folks, it's coming to almost an hour and a half that we are live, and it has been really fun to be with you. I want to urge you again to like, subscribe, comment, become a member, and also check out our store. I want to remind you about some videos that I did recently. One is this Moshe Feiglin video, one of the Israel's leading intellectuals. Check it out. Very strong video about a vision for the future. And for all of my lovers of the Bible out there, you know that on this channel, we do not promote Christianity. That doesn't mean that we don't have love and respect for our Christian brothers and sisters, as well as our Muslim brothers and sisters. Those that want to be together with us, we are together with them. However, we're also reaching out to what I call the International Torah Congregation, the Abrahamics, and telling them that there is a pathway towards God from Judaism. There is Judaism for the Gentiles. There's Judaism for the Gentiles. It's called Abrahamic, and it's basically a pathway towards service of God, towards a life faith through Torah. It's for Gentiles. It's Judaism for Gentiles. We've talked about that. Check out some of my videos on Yishai Fleisher TV. It's been really, really fun to be with you, and I want to remind you about some of our important concepts. First is you can write me an email, yishaifleisher.com, especially if you want me to visit your community. I have a very busy schedule, but sometimes I'm on the pathway, and recently got a great email from a conservative Jewish congregation who's to the center left, but they want to hear from me, so I'm going to be writing to them. Don't forget, buymeacoffee.com/Yishai to support and help us keep broadcasting, because that's what we got to do. We got to keep broadcasting truth, just like Ryan told us earlier. We got to keep broadcasting that light. And right now, I see 770 amount of people that were just watching the live stream for a second. It fluctuated, which reminds us of the light that the Lubavitcher Rebbe has also imbued us with, sent us on his emissarial work for Israel and for Judaism and for Gentiles for Judaism. I remind you that there is fightforisrael.org to support our big projects, including trucks and tractors for farmers, including water tankers, including Polaris Rangers, helping the farmers of the land of Israel be strong, helping beautify ancestral holy sites and renovate them, and a lot of the work that we do through fightforisrael.org. I remind you that there's Yishai Fleisher TV, where you could like, subscribe, comment, become a member, or check out our store. And so there is so much goodness out there. And so we believe in a concept of Zionism, not cynicism. We don't believe in cynicism. We believe that this is a time of great light. And we believe it's a time of great light. And I know that you guys are out there in so many good places. There's so much warmth and beauty. And I want you to know that don't get down. Even though there are moments where you're like, wow, this is painful. Goodness will come through. Goodness will come through. The Macrons of this world are going to lose. We're not going to give away our homeland, our heartland, to the jihad. It's not going to happen. And people that want to take away our light, they're not going to be successful. Just like Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu said, this is the will of God, and it's coming to fruition in our time. That's it. I want to wish you blessings from the land of blessings, and thank you. Let's see who somebody's sending me a message. People are asking how they could see that rabbi. That's Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu, chief rabbi of Tzfat, a very important rabbi. And we're going to cut that segment and put it on our YouTube channel, Yishai Fleisher TV, and you'll see more from him. I love to bring his voice. He's one of the great leaders of our time. Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu, he puts out Hebrew messages all the time, and he reaches out to the world. He's a supporter of loving the Gentile world and connecting to it, because there are so many non-Jews that want to be part of the story of Judaism in Israel. They want to come to Jerusalem and see that great light. That's it. Let's bless each other. Come on, do it. Come on, let's do it right now. I want to bless you wherever you are there. I want Hashem to come into your house and into your family and give you health and sustenance and direction and a light of Jerusalem. All you have to do is start turning your prayers towards Yerushalayim. Find out where Jerusalem is in your house and pray in that direction. Don't forget to buy wines from the land of Israel. Buy yourself some books from the Art Scroll Company. Okay, they have a lot of Torah books, including the Blue Stone Chumash. I highly recommend it. Okay, somebody asked me, what do you need for a House of Abraham to open up in my community? I told them you need 10 chairs, 10 Art Scroll Stone Chumash, 10 Jewish Orthodox prayer books, also probably from Art Scroll. I recommend because they're easy to follow and read. And you need a big screen TVs that you could show the congregants some videos like this one from Israel. And then finally, you need a little bit of money for a little bit of Kiddush, which is how Jews say fellowship, how you get together after prayer time on Saturday and get together, eat some sushi, and bless Israel together wherever you are. All right, folks, time for me to get some rest. Lots of love and lots of blessings from the land of blessings. Thank you very much to Yo for being with me. Thank you to Ryan Bellarose, my guest. Thank you to Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu for that amazing Torah and that message to the Muslim world. And that's it. Blessings from the land of blessings. Be strong, be connected, be unafraid and unapologetic, because great things are coming and you are part of it wherever you are. So lots of blessings and shalom. Litraot. And wish me luck in the army tomorrow. We need to be safe out there. Okay?